So are you a golfer like me that with driver just currently feel like you're setting up well, but almost the harder you try, the shots are okay with driver, but you feel like the distance just isn't where it should be? And I know what the comments initially are going to be. What you're moaning about, that's not awful. No, I appreciate they're not terrible numbers, but big thing for me, probably 2-3 years ago, I set myself a target that I wanted to get to 300 yards carry. And you see that one at 246 isn't end of the world stuff, but is a long way off getting there. But definitely feel with driver like I'm almost trying harder and harder to hit the ball hard, and yet feels like the effort level's going up. Feels like my club head speed's getting slower and I'm actually hitting it shorter. So what I'm going to work through today is what I would be working on and what I am going to be working on to try and put less effort in the swing to hit the golf ball further. Now, there's a few things that I need though in there. I need a good solid strike, I need the club traveling up through impact, and ideally I'd like a bit more club head speed in order to do that. Because if I'm going to get to 300 yards carry, I need about 118 mile an hour. Now, I'd love to say by the end of today I'm going to be at 118. I don't think there's any chance of that, but I would like to see myself pick up speed with the strike, with the angle of attack being better, to really maximize everything I can do with driver. So I know what you're probably thinking. Well, hang on, surely less effort will mean less speed. I don't believe that. I think effort is about trying to hit the ball hard, whereas trying to swing the club faster, I think if you're more relaxed and there's less tension in the golf swing, it's much easier to get that club whipping through the bottom and creating some speed. So I'm going to talk through just a few little steps that we can do. So the first one I'm going to talk about is I want your grip pressure to be about 6 out of 10 for you. Now, what I would say is I think there's a massive correlation between grip strength and ability to swing the club fast. So if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of grip pressure in their hands, I think it's very tough for you to swing fast, and I think the quicker the club moves, you've got to be able to hang on to it. So I know my grip strength is pretty good, so around about that 6 out of 10 for me can work, but I think you need to experiment a little bit around, obviously 1 out of 10 will be dropping it, 10 out of 10 strangling it, but kind of feel when you try different numbers for grip strength, which one feels to you like you get the club moving the quickest, and when you hit shots, which one gets it going more. So I definitely think my grip pressure has been too tight. Maybe not over the ball, but as I start swinging back, I can feel I'm really kind of almost crushing the shaft under the grip. So I'm going to try and keep that grip pressure a little softer to begin with, and just see straight away, does that make a difference to how I swing the golf club? Well, I think straight away there we can see nearly 3 mile an hour pickup in club speed. Ball speed's jumped to 157. Low point was a little further behind, nothing to do with the grip pressure really, but club's travelled up 3.6 degrees, and 255 carry and 287 total. So straight away, that's a quick win for me, isn't it? Another 10 yards through the air, just from feeling the grip pressure for me a little bit softer, about that 6 out of 10. I think if I went any softer than that, it'd feel like the club's going to come out of my hands, and then I'll end up tightening up to try and make sure I don't lose the grip of the club. So straight away, grip pressure for me being a little bit less, I think helps me generate a little bit more speed. So then what we're going to work on is, right, can I actually maybe create a longer swing so the club's got a little bit further to travel on the way down, split second longer to accelerate. So I think once I take my address position, I think I'm pretty good. Ball's forward, and I get a little bit of tilt away from the ball. So I like the way I set up, and if that's not something you do, that's something you could start incorporating. But I definitely know with me that as I swing back, just because of how I grew up learning the golf swing, I do feel like I keep my left heel very planted on the floor. So it kind of restricts how far back I can go. I know some golfers might say, is that not kind of having that stability with the lower body, creating a little bit of a resistance and therefore some stretch in the backswing? I do think it limits me there. So I'm going to try and feel now, relax grip pressure, let that left heel come off the floor, which will allow the hip to turn back more and that right shoulder turn more behind me. So try that. I'm going to see again, do we see a factual change in what happens, which will then, even if I don't get the strike right to begin with, will lead to more distance. So setup feels good. Need to remind myself about that grip pressure, then make that big backswing. Now the strike wasn't great. Club head speed dropped down a bit, but it was very toey. And we didn't see the result pick up there, but I'll be honest, I didn't feel that was a great swing. So maybe for me they're a little bit too much to think about. So if I just focus on getting that left heel up off the floor and let the body go, rather than thinking about all the pieces. So nice and relaxed, get that left heel up. Felt good. So maybe just a tiny bit more club head speed at nearly 107, ball speed at just under 159, low point 6 inches behind, and 268 carry and 293 total. So definitely starting to see some good pickup, and it'd be lovely if by the end, just with 2 or 3 more swings, I can feel like I get to that 300 total, and anywhere around 275 carry would be delightful today. So definitely the grip pressure being softer, making that big turn gives me the chance. Now I know for me, because I want to hit up, what it definitely stops me doing is kind of shifting my pressure towards the target early enough, so I kind of get back here, sit back a little bit, and part of that shifting my pressure towards the target is one of the ways that I create my speed. So on this next one, big backswing, and then really shift hard into that lead side. I know my upper body is going to stay behind the ball, so that will create the upward angle of attack. So nice and relaxed, big turn. So it was a little quicker, strike wasn't quite as good, but ball speed's still decent at over 156. And because the strike was low off the face, definitely that one's going to have spun a little bit more than I wanted. So I definitely think that, and undoubtedly you guys hopefully watching along will agree with this, if you start thinking about too many things, it kind of becomes that you don't do any of them particularly well. So I think the big thing for me is keep that grip pressure around that 6 out of 10, make that big turn by getting that lead heel off the floor, and just do another couple of those and let my body learn what it can do. That felt solid. So 107 mile an hour club head speed, 158 ball speed, hit up 3 degrees, 270 carry, and 291 total. So I'm going to go just one more, because that wasn't really adding any more thoughts in, but that's just allowing my nervous system to move a little bit quicker and kind of become a bit more accustomed to swinging at that kind of speed. But it really doesn't feel like I'm putting a lot into that. It's just the range of motion and then the ability to not strangle the club and rob myself of speed at the bottom, that as long as I hit the middle of the club face, I'm going to start edging more towards where I want to be. So let's go one more. Do a practice swing. That feels good. Keep that grip pressure soft. Big turn. And even though that wasn't out the middle, you can see around that 107 mile an hour club speed, Ball speed just dropped off a little bit. We can't finish on that one, so come on, let's one more. Effortless speed. Let's see if we can get 300. Oh, I'm not sure that's quite going to get there. So just under 106 mile an hour. Club speed, ball speed at 156, hit up 4.6 degrees. And the strikes cost me there, but 257 carry and 276 total. So you can see there, even though the last one was a bit disappointing with the contact, we can definitely see there's a bit more raw material of club head speed in there from just softening that grip and then allowing myself to make a bigger backswing by letting that lead heel come up. So that gets everything turning more, so the club's got longer to travel. And as long as I keep that tension out of my grip, we definitely see that translation into more club head speed. And the best ones, even though I've still got a long way to go, it's a really good pickup in a one-off session. And the more I do that, the quicker I'll get. And hopefully, eventually, we'll get to that 300 yards carry.